Hi, my name is KATE KALVACH. I'm a pop artist, songwriter, and true creative in all areas. You might even know me from my time on NBC's The Voice. Recently, I decided to stop playing it safe and live out my own lyrics. Give me less money, more time. I quit my 9-to-5 job with zero backup plan. Music is the plan, but I want to give the world more than just music. I want to encourage you to pursue your passion and purpose too. I'm challenging you to bet on yourself. Do something you've always dreamed about. Expect practical tips, encouraging stories, advice, and you might even want to pursue your wildest dreams after listening. She's a wildflower, Today, I'm interviewing Madison Hughes, a fellow NBC The Voice contestant. She's a songwriter, recording artist, and all-around creative. Since The Voice, her new song, You or the Whiskey, was featured on New Music Friday Country on Spotify and Billboard's 7 must-hear country songs. Madison is a picture of how hard work can really pay off in the end. So without further ado, here's my conversation with Madison Hughes. Officially, welcome to the KATE KALVACH podcast, Madison. I'm so excited to see you.
I'm so glad to be here. Woo.
You're one of my first guests. I did a few in-person episodes, but this is my first actual interview remotely. We did face some technical difficulties, but thank you for being here anyways. I literally haven't seen you since the show.
Yeah, so has that not been a year and a half?
Yeah, I know.
Have you seen Blake at all in person in Oklahoma?
One time. Right? But I had to chase him down. It wasn't like he was asking me to come over to his house or something.
I haven't seen him either out at Old Red.
Oh, yeah, because you've played at Old Red. Did you do Orlando as well or just Nashville?
I did. Yep, just Orlando and Nashville.
Yeah. So he didn't do the phone call thing because I've seen that.
That would have been awesome, no.
But I feel like since I haven't seen you since the show, so much has happened. I feel like it couldn't all fit into one podcast, but I'm going to try and ask you as much as I want. This is kind of just a catch up also. So I first of all want to ask you, I ask everybody on the show, what makes you fully feel alive? Maybe besides music, is there anything that comes to mind?
I would definitely see my family members. We're very close-knit family. I live with my sister. She's my roommate. And so they keep
I didn't even know that.
Close. Yeah, so my youngest sister, Gracie, she is here. Okay. My middle sister used to live here too, but she's now back in Florida. Yeah, we have fires together all the time back home, as you see in my video content. Yeah. We are always circled around the fire. So I would definitely say that's my answer.
And you have 2 sisters, right? Or more?
Yep. I'm the oldest.
I knew we had that in common, being the oldest, but I wasn't sure how many sisters you have. That's so cool. I had no idea that your sister was your roommate in Nashville.
Oh, yeah.
Was that always the case?
No, she moved here only 3 months ago.
Okay, that's awesome.
She just finished college, so we're 5 years apart.
That's so fun. Does she do music as well?
Oh, no. She's good at writing, though. Not writing music, but copywriting and language arts, etc. Gotcha. So maybe we can have a partnership at some point.
That's so neat, though. I love that. That's goals. I would love to do that with my sister sometime.
It just makes Nashville feel more home, too, because a lot of the times Nashville can feel so metropolitan and your communities all scattered all across the city. And back home in Florida, it's such a small town that we're all a block away from each other, and we all go to the same coffee shop and the same restaurant every week. So it just makes Nashville feel more home-like. Yeah.
That's awesome. I love that. So I want to talk a little bit about how you and I met. We met obviously on The Voice, but for me, my first impression of you was I remember the Zoom call we had to is that the first time you met me too?
That's the first time when they announced it over Zoom. And we had never met across paths before yet.
And that was after all of the blind auditions and everything. And we're literally on a Zoom call to be told that we're paired up for battle rounds.
Nerve-wracking, yeah.
So, and then from there, you start creeping on people. So I started following you on Spotify, and your music was so freaking good. I sent it to my husband, and we literally, and this is true, we listened to it literally nonstop that summer. We put it on our playlist, our church playlist, everything. I just remember thinking, wow, you're such an amazing artist. Your tone was so unique. I was just blown away by you. So
that was
so
awesome. Nice that you guys were so sweet, because a lot of people think battle rounds are it's competition, and
I know
you're going down and it's the boxing ring, and that's what the show wants to make you think it's but Little do they know.
Well, and even going off of that, like another impression I had of you was like, I got COVID during the battle rounds. And I remember one time I was like, I didn't know I had COVID yet. And we were waiting to meet Blake. And you prayed for me. Like you put your hand on me and prayed for me. And to me, that spoke so much to your character, who you are. Like, I don't know, it could have been very competitive, but instead of you deciding to be cutthroat like that, you were like rooting for me, which was really sweet. So I'll never forget that.
Terrible if you couldn't be able to make it for battle rounds because of COVID. And I'm so glad you were able to sing.
Yeah, that was so stressful. And you could have been angry at me, you know, but
it's all, I mean, it all adds to the drama. It was kind of fun.
Yeah. Do you have any like specific memories from our time on the show that you want to share?
Yeah, I remember when we were rehearsing in the rehearsal room downstairs. For anyone watching, you had to like book ahead of time, and I just remember it was like COVID times, and we just got excited by even looking through the curtain in the outside world because like we were shut down, and we couldn't go anywhere. We were assigned the song "Every Rose Has Its Thorn" by Poison. For anyone
Miley
who hadn't...
version, we were assigned.
Yeah, and it's a really hard song to make a duet, I feel like, but we accomplished it. And I was glad that I got to sing like the alto parts, but I learned a lot about like stage performing and how you're perceived. Like when I remember Gwen's notes for me, she was like, I can tell you like you're more inexperienced and da-da-da. And when you're performing, like there's so much to think about when you're...
she said that.
Yeah, it's just like when I was just trying to focus on hitting the right notes. But like when it comes to just like being an artist and just everything that comes with it, there's so many like facets, like how you're singing it, how I'm looking. Do I look stressed when I'm singing? Am I moving around? Like all those things kind of, I recall now that I'm trying to do the artist thing full time, like both of us, like looking back at what their notes were for me during our duet. Yeah.
Which is crazy to me because I remember being intimidated by your stage presence and by like how comfortable you seemed performing live. Well, were you always performing growing up? Like I saw in your biography on your website that your dad taught you to play guitar, right? So was your whole family musical? Like did you guys perform ever? Did you sing in church? Like what was that?
I had done like a lot of like talent shows and coffee shop performances and some church performances, but very few and far between because I was just so shy of performing live, and I just did not like people looking at me, and it was uncomfortable. And it was really, music was just like my own thing I did in my room and just like jammed out. But yeah, my family doesn't do music. My dad doesn't play guitar anymore.
Oh, really?
I know. But yeah, it was really me, just kind of stuck through it all. And it's interesting to see people I've gone to school with over the years be like, that's really cool that you stuck with that. I remember you were the guitar kid, you know, in school. And so that's awesome that you wanted to continue that, because a lot of people kind of give up or think it's just like a stupid hobby. Let me go find an accounting job, which is so easy to get. Like sometimes I psych myself out like, I need to go get a real job right now. Like I'm relying on like private events to like get some money. And it's just, it feels sometimes if you're not careful, you can start to psych yourself out, and want to make sure you don't do that. Because think of your younger self, you know, what would she think about where you are?
That's good advice. It's easy to doubt that. But I mean, what is it that made you think I'm actually going to do this as a career? Did you pursue other things before music, or like what made it real?
I actually really liked video production. That's what I studied in school at FSU. I really did like camera work and thought I was going to do like documentaries full time. Mainly because I felt like it was an excuse for me not to pursue music full time, because I'm like, oh, well, this is a legit thing. I'm doing video. That was what I was thinking deep down, subconsciously. But I mean, part of me I like filmed hype videos for the football team at my school, and like love to do interviews, and I still sometimes now do that with my friend in my spare time. But like, after the voice show, it just gives people that confidence to like believe in themselves and be like, wow, like just exciting. It reignited my excitement for music, being a part of that experience. And I had been living in Nashville for a few months before I got asked to be on The Voice. And so it just made me more dive into Nashville and be more out in the community. Because when I moved to Nashville, I was just kind of hung out in like my house and didn't really go to writers' rounds and didn't want to be seen out places. Just because when you have that doubt back inside of you, it's hard to be out there, out and about. So I would definitely say after the show kind of catapulted me into being excited about music again, because there was a lull where I was just like, this is just not feeling inspired or motivated, honestly.
Yeah. But what's cool is like your video background helps you so much with music as well. So even if you were doubting yourself or whatever reason kept you from doing music, it's kind of cool that what you were doing instead was helpful now. You know what I mean?
I know.
Like if we could all plan it out just how we want or how we imagine it should be, we wouldn't have the skills or maybe the experience that we need for where we're at. So
Agreed.
I don't know.
I think the worst thing is people go back and they say, I wish I would have done this earlier, la da da.
Yeah.
It's like, you cannot live in that past like that. All these moments are building up for what you're made to do now.
Yeah. So you said you moved to Nashville before The Voice. So if you weren't like, I'm all in on, like you're saying you weren't 100% music at that point,
No,
right?
I just told myself I wanted to try living out in Hollywood and then living out in Nashville. So I'd already done the Hollywood thing.
Tell me a bit about that. Like, okay, just tell me everything. So what made you move there? And then what pushed you to Nashville?
I haven't covered this on the podcast, I don't think yet.
Okay, cool.
Well, a lot of people after graduating college used to want to go to a big metro area, and a lot of people from my school went to DC or New York. I went to DC for a little bit for this Capitol Hill video editing job. But I realized after crying in the bathroom the first day, this is not my path. Let me quit and move out. So after that, I moved back home during COVID for like a year, just hanging out there. And I was like so antsy, like, what am I doing with my life? I need to go out and explore the world. Let me try Los Angeles because that's the city of dreams. And I remember my parents crying, like, are you sure this is what you want to do? So I drove my car alone. I didn't know anyone over there. And I just subleased in different areas of LA for 6 months, Koreatown, Culver City, West Hollywood, and met some cool people out there, and was really just doing like videos for other people, like videos for YouTubers or TikTok people. And that was cool or whatever, but I just was burying down like my, secret longing for music, but I can never voice that out because it felt like such an intangible thing and like a silly thing to be like, yeah, I want to do music for real. But I'm like filming TikToks for other musicians, like, and I never would talk about my own music, just always kept it a secret. And for whatever reason, I guess I was just justifying it, like, you can't make money from this, so why would I talk about it? And I have to go hustle the other ways. After COVID was getting really annoying in LA, I'm just like, I'm out. I want to go try out the other city I had mentioned about living in, which was Nashville. My mom and I were driving in East Nashville, and we saw this house for rent, and so I had to find some roommates, and we just pulled the trigger, said, let's move here at the new year of 2022. Yeah, it was going to be the same thing, like just finding a video job here. That's when, The Voice application started getting further along in the process. Yeah, and then after The Voice, I guess I kind of talked about that, but...
That's crazy to me that you were moving to Nashville not for music. I just assumed that you were like starting down your country path.
I mean, I didn't think about I was going to be country music like girl when moving to Nashville. I did not think about. I did not know what Music Row was, that there was an industry here. Really, I just thought it was a cool like metropolitan city in the South region. I wasn't going to do Charleston or Atlanta. I'm like, well, Nashville, it has music, and there's probably people that need my video service. So
I'm curious, like, how on earth did you break into that, like making connections? And if you want to talk a little bit about like making music with other people, songwriting, playing shows, because I feel like it's hard to kind of jump into that if you don't already know people.
Yeah, I remember right when The Voice was done, it's like you set up a few rights with like random people that message you on Instagram, or you'll see and you'll be like, okay, cool. And through that process, you learn what songs you want to write, what songs aren't vibing with you, and where you see yourself directionally as an artist. And so from there, I would be like, okay, I like kind of the older school sound. I like, my influences are like kind of soulful music. I like Chris Stapleton. Let me go find their music online and see who's behind writing their songs. And so I found like this guy named James LeBlanc, Al Anderson, Mike Henderson, and I had messaged all of them through email and really tried to get a hold of them. And some of them were in Alabama, some of them were in Nashville. And so just kind of on my own, sort of hustling, hey, pitching myself. You either have to show up in person to their writers round or email them. And so I just did both of that. Sent them like a demo of a song. Hi, here's how I sing. It would be an honor to write with you. You're amazing. All that. I kind of did it that way organically. I know some people in Nashville, they have a publisher that like kind of feeds them writing sessions and whatnot. So I haven't really gotten to that stage. I think it's smart, like, first to like reach out to people on your own to know what kind of songs you want to write. Because if you're writing like country pop song and you're like, I don't want to release this later, then that's kind of wasting both of their time. So for people that's kind of moving to Nashville, I definitely say don't rely on like people coming to you. Even if you may be good, you have to be out there hustling, emailing, DMing, going in person, not being annoying, spamming, but like show your value and how, you know, you like their work and see a cool partnership. Perhaps we can explore that. Just try out writing a song.
That's so cool, and it's good advice. I think a lot of us, number one, you think you go on The Voice and you have it made, and people will be begging you to collaborate. And also, you think, oh, if I move to Nashville, you know,
right,
it'll just be figured out. And that's why I haven't moved personally, because like obviously I'm tempted by that, but I know that it's not just going to solve all my problems.
No.
But it's good to hear that you can still find a way to kind of break in even prior to like moving to the city. Like you can be emailing, DMing.
I'm sure I annoyed people when I first moved here and was like, hey, please, let's work. Because people were like, so what can you do for me? Because you have to keep in mind that is what people are thinking. And I get it, because the older writers are cool because they're kind of like, I don't necessarily care about money right now. I don't care if you're not on a record label and that my song doesn't get on Warner Records. Like, I'll still write with you and you can put it out. That's kind of how I've either like the older writers or like the new up and comers that are just hungry and that don't care if you're signed, that just want to work with a good vocalist. Like, that's who I'm trying to contact. But it gets hard when it becomes political. But that's always in the back of my head. Like, I am aware that this is music business, not music charity town. So
yeah, that's a good quote that needs to be posted somewhere.
Yeah.
And it's true. I mean, it's fair to be like, you have to offer something that, because I'm the same way. Like, after being on the show, now my standards are a little higher than they were before. So it works that way, especially if you've made massive hits that are on the billboards. And I don't know. Yeah. It makes sense.
The dilemma I'm having now is how I want my music to sound, because it's sounding all over the place. And as you guys know, I'm on Spotify. Obviously, I've had different sounds, you know, throughout the years since I started posting just for fun. And so now that I'm in this kind of country mode, country adjacent mode, alternative country, whatever, like, how do I make a consistent sound going here on out? Does that mean I have the same producer person every time or the same players on every song? Or is it the style of songs that I'm writing that are sounding, that's what making it sound different? So that's sort of the phase I'm in now. How do I build, kind of starting from ground zero again? Let's start with like a logo, or what outfit should I be wearing in? Is it always denim, or, you know? So these are things that, like, I think only you as the artist can really know deep down. It's like you can try to have stylist help and all these marketing people and design people try to help you get your vision out, but if you don't know your vision deep down, that's where I've learned, like, taking this seriously now. It's like all these steps I've kind of overlooked and just didn't think about. It's always just been get views and do whatever you can to just get views online, even if it's a song like I Deserve a Drink. Now people want me to write more songs like that. So it's just like,
oh, so it established kind of a brand voice for you. I didn't think about that.
Well, I don't want people to think I'm some like drinking girl. Like, I mean, I wanted to cover that song. Now we're transitioning to that. Like, I wanted to cover that song because I was going through this phase where I liked this certain guy and the song reminded me of him. And I was just like feeling emotional. And sometimes when I'm really emotional, I can only channel that through music. And so I'm like, okay, set the camera up. Here we go. Let it rip. And then just posted that in October. And then people were really digging that sound. And so now these last few months have been all centered around like, oh gosh, and now I got to write songs like that. And now I got to have songs that sound like that. That's just me and my guitar. Well, that's not what I've been doing. And that's not what my album upcoming sounds like. And all these songs I've written with these previous people in Nashville this whole last year don't really sound like this Morgan Wallen cover, you know, that people really latched onto. And some of them didn't know it was a Morgan Wallen song. So they like that. I don't know. These are all questions that seem overwhelming to think about because it's so easy for all of us artists to just be like, views, post. Yeah. And it's like you skip all the foundational stuff. And then it's harder for outside people to come in and help you and bring these certain writers to achieve your vision, to bring the stylists and the designers to help bring to life what is your brand identity. And so people forget that, like, I need time as an artist to understand where I'm going, what's my vision. You don't want to get stuck in like business deals and all these different choices before you know who you are deep down. And it might be different for me because I've done so many different things. Other artists, they'd be like, this is what I want, boom, this is all I see myself as. But I've had so many different phases and iterations of Madison that it's like harder for me to get that all sorted out. I don't know, in order to take it to the next level and bring on, quote, team members. So,
man, you said so many things in that I just feel like we need to stop and note, like, so much wisdom, so much advice for people who are trying to do what you're doing right now.
Yep.
But one thing I loved hearing about was you saying, like, the pure emotion from that cover. And I think that maybe it's not just the sound that people were drawn to, but I think it's maybe because of that just like raw place you were in. And it is so emotional. Like, I love your version of it. I have listened to it a lot on Spotify, but I love it on TikTok a lot as well. It's really good.
Gosh, yeah. It's just like figuring out the industry has changed into the fact that it's all centered around this one app called TikTok, and where it's a trend-based app where they latch onto the certain sound that you've, people listen to it on repeat because it's the same like 30 seconds or 15 seconds. And then how does that translate to, Spotify and real music services? And so it's crazy how people are using TikTok to now form your sound around. And it's like,
that's true. Did you see it coming with that song when you posted it?
My family was in town. It was the first week of October. My family was in town, and I had actually tried to record that song twice before that night I did in front of my posters. I had tried to, and it wasn't coming through, it wasn't hitting hard. And so then this third, because I hadn't really practiced it enough too. And so this third time that I did it, just uploaded it, I didn't think too much about it because my background was just my posters, and I usually film outside because it's better lighting outside in the daylight. But kind of throwing it together, even though I filmed on my camera and stuff. But you never see when something's going viral. But everyone maybe likes to think that you can plan out a viral video, and you just can't.
I think everybody is looking for, the secret potion, the strategy, like, oh, if you do this, this, and this, then you'll definitely go viral or whatever. And then there's the temptation to pay to promote stuff.
No,
and even then it might not go viral.
Trust me, it doesn't. It just literally doesn't. I don't know, because then it comes up as sponsored on Instagram, and I just keep swiping through and it says sponsored.
Yep. Me too.
I don't know. It's hard.
So what advice would you give somebody who's maybe in the same position we're at, trying to go viral or whatever?
Yeah.
Do you have any?
Yeah, definitely like the simple video, audio. Like, don't have terrible lighting in a blurry corner of your room and just you can barely hear you. Obviously, that used to work back early days when people did not have iPhone ring lights and etc. As long as you have these simple ring light, good quality video, iPhone can do that. That's where you start. The second step would be picking the right song, because I love a lot of old classic songs that are deep cuts of, Neil Young and whatnot, and they just don't perform well on social media. I would say save those for later, but try to choose songs that are trending now that you can do your own spin of, or how do you do your own rendition. But I definitely think song choice is huge. Like, there's a lot of good singers that just choose the wrong cover song that's just not either emotional enough or not highlighting your special tone or special quality. I think a lot of it comes down to song choice, though. If I had to choose that or the presentation of how it looks, I mean, they're obviously both important, but I think people miss.
I've even noticed that with myself. Like, I'll think I nailed it with perfect production and everything, but it won't take off, and then I just do a simple like Evermore or Folklore album cover from Taylor Swift. Gen Z loves it, and that's all I gotta do.
Right. Some people have gone viral for having like the same thing in the beginning of the video. They're like, what if this song was country? Or what if this song was pop punk? And that's why people continue to follow them, because they want to see Taylor Swift if it was a pop punk song. Like, people try to, that's one way of going about it too, if you want to do that. But since 2018, when I started doing the videos, I always just like, okay, I like a cool background because I'm a video nerd and like having it aesthetic looking. So that's always been my key factor.
And that sets you apart for sure.
Yeah. So that's, I guess, finding your thing. It could come naturally, or you can think of it artificially, like I'm going to have this hook in the beginning of every single one of my songs. I definitely think trying to get people to stop scrolling is, you can keep that in the back of your mind. But if it overtakes your whole life about like, how do I go viral and get people to care, it's too much. You'll stress yourself out. Yeah. Just do what song you're really loving and that you want to sing. Because the TikTok trap can get you stuck in just trying to post for views. And so you do already established songs, but then people are like, okay, we get it, Madison, you do cover songs. Like, what do you have to say as an artist? And so I'm like, that's a good point. I need to circle back to that, or at least in 2024, maybe focus in on more of that, because people can always say, get more followers, get more views, da-da-da. Like, you never feel like you have enough followers or enough views, even Dua Lipa and them, I'm sure they're like, well, we only got 10 million views. Dang it. Kylie Jenner gets 30 million. Like, yeah. So that's another trap. It's like, careful.
Yeah. Well, how on earth do you stay balanced then? Or do you?
Well, I got a gym membership finally, so maybe I'll go run on the treadmill.
That's great.
Just get out of music mode, because in Nashville it does feel music mode all the time. But you can see normal people in gyms,
tourists, maybe
coffee shop,
bachelorette parties.
Exactly. Get inspired by those people and realize, and go help people downtown. Go pray for people, go give them food, and it gets you centered back down to life is not all about TikTok. Yay,
dang, that's good. I'm just interrupting this podcast really quick to tell you about a few things I've got coming up in the KATE Kalvach world. So first of all, I hope you've heard my new song, Strangers. It's available on all streaming platforms. Hopefully you love it. And also, I'm so excited to share my first ever collaboration with my husband, Kalwich. We released a cover of Tyla's song, Water. You can listen to it on all streaming platforms. So what are you waiting for? You guys should go stream it and let me know what you think. All right, let's continue my conversation with Madison. Well, let's talk about your original song, You or the Whiskey. Yeah. It's an amazing song. I love it.
Thank you.
And it was your first release since The Voice, right?
Yes, it was me kind of establishing, okay, let's do this full time now after the show. Yeah. So my songwriter partner, we co-wrote it. I had the idea of, was it You or the Whiskey? I met and kind of outlined the song. He made some like editing changes that made it pop even more. And then he found this producer named Justin, and we worked together out of the 1979 studio in Nashville. And I'd never been in like a real studio. So I'm like, oh my gosh, we're going to have a drummer and a bass player. Wow.
That's so
this is
cool.
So I didn't really have a vision for how the song would be produced out other than just me and the guitar, but I wanted it to be a fuller produced thing. So that's another thing that I didn't talk about, like moving to Nashville. How do you want, what producers are you working with, and do you lean on them for help, or do you connect, do you tell them what your vision is? And at the time I did not know, and I kind of relied on him to just do it. So, but I think going forward, I want to be more empowered and like have a clear vision, because I think that's important to differentiate yourself. But yeah, that song was also similar to I Deserve a Drink, inspired by a real person, real event. It came out of just an emotional release. It was like really like, was it you or the whiskey I met? That was a true thing. This person loved that to drink, and I just was very naive, thinking like, oh, just wanting guys, validation. And so thinking, oh, he must like me if he, whatever, says I'm cute or something. I don't know, like out at, not even at a bar necessarily, just, it's also a metaphor. Like, am I talking to the real you, or are you putting up a front? Like, this is annoying. Yeah.
Very relatable, I think, especially trying to meet people in your 20s and stuff. Like, yeah.
Our people. Yep.
So that song ended up being featured on New Music Friday Country, which is very difficult to get onto New Music Friday on Spotify. So how did you go about that? Like, did you pitch it, or?
I think like 3 weeks out. So I know that's important to give them time to search through the submissions. So I did that. And then this reporter lady, wrote about it in the Billboard.
That's so cool.
Segment. Yeah, it was like 7 songs you must listen to. And it was featured. I'm just like, how did she probably heard about it on that Spotify playlist. So that's when comes in handy to get on those playlists, because outside reporters and whatnot are looking through them. But I still say at the end of the day, building my fan base is more important than getting on those kind of deals, because your fans are gonna be the ones streaming it versus kind of a passive listening on the playlists. But it's still a good place to get discovered. Like, people discover music now on Spotify and in TikTok. Yeah. Sometimes in live performances. But
I mean, I know myself and many other people in my circle who every Friday we listen to New Music Friday and we put the ones we like on our playlist. I think it's really common. So it's like the golden thing to get featured on there because people might discover you that way. Right. And then you build new fans, hopefully. Right. But it just seems impossible unless you have a label or something. So,
well, now that is correct. That's how they want to be. I guess the Spotify is working that out. It used to be you submit it on there. But I guess since the music industry changes every month, it's becoming more about this, like, sort of like a Vogue magazine. Like, oh, you're on the cover of Spotify editorial. Like, you must have had to have some kind of poll or be a part of some bigger establishment that's, like, that's a whole another question. It's like, do you go with them or do you stay independent? What are they offering that independents can't do? If it is, like, Spotify playlist, cool. If that's the only thing, I'm not so convinced that's the route yet. But.
Yeah. Well, I was going to ask you, like, because you briefly mentioned you might have some people that were interested in you. Mm-hmm. Did you mean labels or did you mean, like, publishing?
It was like kind of all three aspects of industry. And apparently, from what I hear, like, there's this app that they all look at and, like, what artists are growing fast. Dang. And so they like saw my name was on there. Some secret app. I need to.
What? Where did you hear this?
Only because they shared their screen with me and I saw it and I forgot to take a freaking picture.
Dang, of what that's crazy.
But they kind of reach out and be like, oh, just understanding what your goals are and whatnot. And I just like when, I don't know, it's just too overwhelming to, like, make all these decisions off of one viral thing. But
dang. And it wasn't even your song. So
no, right. And so they asked, okay, let's hear your originals. And then most people ghost because they found a different viral man. That's what I mean about, like, industry being centered around TikTok and their app that tells them what artist is trending. Okay, you reach out, then go away. Also was, like, trying to figure out what can you do for me and, like, how much. A lot of what I'm learning is, like, you just need to have your own fan base built, your own brand identity built before you bring in these outside people, which is what I want to do now. Like, focus, what do I want in my brand to stand out? Because and then these people, if you want to hire them to bring them on, they can help you effectively. Because how terrible would it be if I signed with someone and they made me, like, female Morgan Wallen, and that's not how I want to be perceived. And then I'm, like, stuck making that type of hip hop country. It's like, I didn't really mean to get into this anyway in the first place.
And then you're in a contract for who knows how long.
Yeah, and I'm not throwing shade to all these people. Like, it's just a lot of people that go viral like I did. Like, you're just not ready for all these conversations, and it can feel very pressuring. Like, you're kind of a cat in a corner. Like, I want to figure out what I need to do. Yeah. I don't know. And plus, like, you seem organized, too, as an artist. A lot of artists are terrible at communication and just, like, are super lazy and, like, can't get it together. And so they need outside people
true.
Immediately to help them. But for me, that's never been the case. Like, I don't need someone to tell me to work. It's like, I will be working. Trust me.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I feel like you have a lot going on, obviously. You're playing shows. You are, like, all the while going viral on TikTok, making videos constantly, releasing original music. Clearly, you're DMing and emailing songwriters and meeting up with them. Like, you have so much happening. And I'm just curious, like, how on earth do you keep a certain level of consistency without burning yourself out?
It is being burnt out as my light just burned out.
Symbolic.
Maybe everyone who's posting, it's just we're all in the same boat. We're just trying to get content out to feel like we're not lagging.
Yeah.
I definitely, in the back of my head, I'm thinking of all the songs I have written here with different people that all sound different, but I want to see them fully fleshed out. Like, that's what I really want. And then there's, like, oh, figure out what's your aesthetic and your logo. And it's like, those are the two things in the back of my head. And then it's like, oh, you got to put out content of just to have content out. But it's like, I think it's time for me at least to move beyond the generic, I don't know, just like posting just to post. Like, yeah, it does get burning out though. I relate to that.
Yeah. Well, and after you've experienced going viral, it's like now you're probably questioning it even more because you hit that mark that all of us want. But then what?
Right. I had two go viral right next to each other. It was the Morgan Wallen and then on the Bruce Springsteen cover I did. That's how I got all my Instagram followers. It was not from the Morgan Wallen cover. It was me singing that Dancing in the Dark, and I still haven't put that on Spotify because I'm trying to think strategically. I should release my original songs along with that cover so I don't become known as the girl who just puts out covers on Spotify.
Yeah, you know? I know that's really difficult. I'm struggling with that as well because I feel like I'm pushing out cover.
Right.
But yeah,
because
the originals
that
are
is
like
how you grow, though. But I get it. That's how you grow. It's like putting out cover because that's familiar to people, and it's people stop scrolling when they hear something familiar. That's just psychology. So, and I'm like, it's starting to get to me. I'm like, shoot. Well, how do I? I'm like viral, but is it for me or is it they like the song? Like I know people can get attached to certain people's voices and everything. It's just. There is a little bit of that pressure of like, how do I really make a career out of my originals now and not just be like, yes, I'm good at interpreting other people's songs for sure. And I can take outside songs in Nashville because there are songwriters here that want to give people songs. So I think there still is an opportunity to go viral for an original song 100% without paying for it, without paying for some marketing team to blast you out. But yeah, my next goals basically forget the whole being burnt out. It's like, okay, one step in front of the other. Let me put out that cover song with some original tunes, package it in an EP sometime in the beginning of this year when this podcast is coming out. Most likely you will see that. So they don't like it and you learn from that. But again, you can't get so distracted from TikTok comments that you change your whole personality for one viral thing. So that's my advice for the viral stuff.
Yeah, and I feel like the haters are more likely to comment than the people who love it for some reason. So you're always going to get the haters.
It's fine.
I don't know. And they're always going to have, even if they're kind, they might just have like a little preference or a little critique or whatever. I was scrolling through some of your comments and I'm just like, why? Why are people saying this? I couldn't believe they complained about the raw version that you literally replicated as what they wanted of that song. But I did want to ask, like, if you were restarting your music journey right now, is there anything you would do differently or I don't know.
That's a great question.
Any regrets you have or?
I would definitely say like, I feel like I'm in a unique position because I like so many different types of music and I like pull off certain types of music. If I were to start over, I would be like, just pick one lane and just really go hard at that. But I did the opposite where it's like, I do everything at the beginning, but everyone's advice is like, you need to be like Post Malone and just do one genre. And then later, now he's doing a country album, right? Mm-hmm. So, but I did the opposite where I did everything. And now I'm kind of centering on country. I don't know. Then again, I don't want to regret my choices because I was just having fun and just doing what felt in alignment at that time. I did like R&B a lot then. I can't really pull that off live. So that's actually what made me stick to country and more the Americana rock type stuff. It's like, if I want to be out there with me and my guitar, I really can't pull off like these complex reggae songs.
Well, nobody is. Yeah, they're all using auto-tune live and everything.
That's
so
true. Okay, good point. I don't know.
Just to give you a little credit.
Yeah, okay. I'm trying to answer this question because I feel like that's still like, I still don't even like to choose one thing because it's so hard.
It makes me think of like when I met you, you were very anti-niche down. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Like you were always joking about it.
Yes, I remember.
Yeah.
I guess just from an industry standpoint, I understand their point of how do we put you with the right writers and producers if you want to do Drake tomorrow and Randy Travis today? Like, that's so hard.
But the problem is you're talented at all of it. Like, I know. Your voice works somehow. That's you have like the most specific voice, but somehow it works for so many genres, you know?
Right. No, it's so bizarre.
Yeah. And I love you on all of it.
Right. Like, I know a lot of people say like they like the same R&B stuff I was doing. Like, the only one song, I still love that song, and like Christian R&B like would be so cool to continue doing that at some point again. But I just know me, like I like to, if it's everywhere, then I can't move forward. And so I still think if you want to be successful at some point, you have to have a certain focus, which means it has to be a little narrow.
Well, I guess so. For right now, your sound is country, but
it's like smoky country. That's how I'll say it now. I don't know what else to say. Like, it's definitely not, I'm not doing the pop country.
Mm-hmm. It feels classic.
Smoky, soulful country. Yeah. Smoky, soulful country. I just love any music that has emotion. So that's why I steer away from the hip hop country, you know, that some people in Nashville are doing. Not everyone is doing that, but the older school, but not in an old school way where it sounds like Keith Whitley type of song.
Yeah.
But I want to bring like, timeless country, like the singers like Lucinda Williams and Stevie Nicks and Miley. I love all those vocalists, but I don't know how to define my sound. People have told you like, let the fans determine what your sound is, as long as you have like the umbrella is obviously country. I don't know what the subgenre is. People call it Americana or alt country.
Yeah.
Just kind of, it is hard though to like be like, I'm the love child of Miley Cyrus and Dolly Parton. Like, I don't go around saying that. People say that, comment that, but like, I don't want to be like saying, boosting myself saying that. Like, that's kind of cringe.
Well, what you said was not cringe. So I feel like your sound is very timeless. I could hear your songs being released years ago or now, tomorrow, whatever.
Thank you.
And people will still listen to them.
Yeah, that's the goal.
But I love about you that you are just really authentic. And I think that's extremely rare, especially in our...
People are so annoying on like line. They pretend like they're this like cool girl or like, so I don't know.
Yeah.
You have to be careful that you don't become so distant or corporate, because people follow on social media to like be connected and relate and not seem, I'm definitely anti-corporate and all of that. So that's great that I'm perceived as natural. That's just how I want to be. Yeah.
Well, what helps you stay grounded in that?
I guess it's just part of me, because I never like to feel like I'm on a different like wavelength than other people. Like, we're all the same wavelength. We're all riding the same wave on the same ocean. So, and everyone has really cool things to offer. So I think it's weird if you start all of a sudden becoming corporate and distant and acting a type of way, because like everyone has cool things to offer. So you're not that better.
That's good though. We need to hear it. It's easy to get lost in, and just even with social media and stuff and building your brand and all of those things, it's hard to stay grounded and humble, you know?
Right.
So that's awesome. Well, just kind of like wrapping up, do you want to share about your new EP, or you called it an album earlier? Is it an EP or an album?
Right. Well, there's two different projects. I guess you could call them projects. Maybe I'll just say that, because that's the easier term. But yes, I do have two projects that will ideally be dropping in 2024. Absolutely will. I think it's cool to have collections of songs versus me doing the singles route, which a lot of people recommend singles for me this whole year instead of a project. But
you've been doing singles for a long time.
Exactly. That's right. Even though they've been different genres, it's like, even I've gotten messages from my two super fans. They're from Ireland, and they're like, please,
that's cute.
Album, original songs. We need that from you next. So even if your fan base
do it for the
is
super
those two
fans.
people, Plus, I mean, me as a listener of music, if I like a new artist, I found them on TikTok or whatever, I go to their Spotify page, I'll be like, oh, cool, they've got a little package of songs. Let me go listen through that. It's cool to have like get your message across within 5 songs or 10 songs. But so that'll be coming soon.
That's great. So is there anything else that you'd like to share about, or maybe anything I didn't ask you that you want to talk about? I'm kind of focusing on people being willing to just kind of step out and do something that's a dream in their heart. So it doesn't necessarily have to be music.
Okay, yeah. We can talk. We never really talked about, how hard it is to go for what you want. So many people I know, they're stuck in situations with people, with jobs that are just not what they really wanted. And I think it's a brave thing to do, to step out and give your dreams a shot. And that's what we're doing here. And everyone else that's watching, bet on yourself, because for the longest time, yes, I may have had talent all over these years, and now I'm 27 and finally feel like I am pressing the go button, but like, you just can't wait too much on external validation. Like, other people are not going to know what your path is and what you should do. For the longest time, I would ask everyone else advice all the time, and what should I do? And they're like, I don't care, I'm cooking my dinner. Like, you got to figure that out.
Dang, that's good.
That's my big takeaway. It's like, what is in your spirit that you know you need to do and get done, and the things will fall in place after that. But I think just don't spend so much time in the, oh no, is this bad? Am I good? Let's like just believe.
Okay, so for people who maybe just found you today because of this podcast, do you want to share where they can find you?
Yep, I have a website, madisonhughes.com, on social media. It's Madison Hughes, and Spotify. It's my full name, Madison Hughes. I don't have a band name or a fake name. So
I just want to say thanks again, because I really think all the wisdom you shared and everything just from right where you're at is going to help people. Yes. It already helped me. Like, I'm kind of jotting down some mental notes from things we talked about. So
my pleasure.
Thanks for listening to the KATE KALVACH Show. I hope you enjoyed my conversation with Madison as much as I did. I love her. Hey, give her some support. Go follow her on all social media. Also, I just want to let you know, I also have some music out. If you'd like to hear my newest single, it's called Strangers, and it's available on all streaming platforms. Also, we just released a cover. My husband and I just released our first collaboration on all streaming platforms. It's called Water. So you should definitely check that out. Hit subscribe on YouTube. Let me know if you loved this conversation. We've got some more stuff coming soon.